Hello and welcome back, or welcome to the Riley Brakefield Show. I am your host, the one, the only Riley Brakefield, also known as Titties by some of my friends as well as many of my enemies. This is a podcast, if you never listen, where we talk mostly sports, sometimes politics, sometimes culture, pretty much whatever is going on in the world, or whatever I want to talk about, whatever's on my mind. Sometimes I try to catch pedophiles, shout out Tom Hanks, we all know he's one, say it every time. But today's show, we got a little bit of news to start off, my top five, then a little bit of NL National League Baseball talk, and then a couple College World Series predictions, picks for the Super Regional round. Nothing too crazy, but nothing bad. So let's just get into it. Starting off with the news, Ron Holland, number one player in the 2023 class, I believe, of college basketball, recently signed with the G League. I saw somebody, talking about how there's a big problem with college basketball and how they're not getting these top tier guys. These guys are going to the G League, the Overtime Elite, going across seas, all this stuff. But the one thing I will continuously point out, it seems to me, is these guys that aren't going the collegiate level, they seem to be struggling when they first get to the NBA. The one thing I really continuously hate about the NBA is the fact that, all these young guys that are so talented, so awesome, they leave after 1 year of college and then you don't really hear about them for about 3 or 4 years. I don't remember really the last one off the top of my head that immediately, honestly, probably was Jason Tatum, because, those Celtics teams were going to the Eastern Conference Finals. He was probably the first one where you're seeing early success right away. Other than that, a lot of these guys are still struggling. It seems not struggling, but they're just takes time for them to adapt to the NBA game, all that stuff. I'm just kind of getting sick and tired of it. So good for this kid, but I think there's a real problem there. And then the NBA doesn't market these guys very well as well. I don't think they stick to these big stars. So then when all these new faces start to come in, everyone's like, who's this? And it doesn't really have a lot of growth in my opinion. But whatever. That's just my thoughts about that. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tonight as well. He tied it up 1-1 in Game 2. So I still think Nuggets are going to win this one. I think, there's kind of a little bit of a hiccup there. The Heat, they're one of those teams that you gotta close them out. They're going to fight till the very end. You can't just sit there and think that you got it in the bag. We saw that happen with the Celtics, saw it happen with the Bucks, saw it happen with the Knicks. You actually have to put the Heat away because that's just what they do. So I still do think the Nuggets win this one in 6. I think Nuggets win that night probably. Who knows? I'll probably jinx it, but I'd probably just jinx it by saying I jinxed it, but maybe I just unjinxed it, but then jinxed it again, but then I'll unjinx it. So who knows? But I'm still rocking with the Nuggets in 6. The PGA Tour and Live Golf are now joining forces. I haven't followed this too much. It's just kind of some big news because for so long, so many guys at the PGA went to bat for the PGA, wouldn't leave for Live because, the amount of money, no matter the money, they didn't want to leave. I mean, some guys were getting paid ridiculous amounts, and it's backed by Saudi Arabia, possible ties 9/11, all that jazz. But they're now merging, and you kind of feel awful for all those guys that stuck with the PGA that, said all these things and stuck by their side, and now it seems like the PGA is not making a lot of money. So now they're merging. I'm not too sure about the details, but it's just kind of a shitty situation if you're a PGA player, I would think. So whatever for them, and it's just they're still going to play the game they love. That's all that matters. It sadly seems that we're having a massive holdup in the new NCAA football game that was set to be released next summer, 2024. According to some reports, the players are only going to be getting paid $500 for their name, image, and likeness. The average, I think I looked it up, the average a couple of years ago for a Madden check was about $17,000. According to this On3 article that I read, and every player was getting around that amount. You add that up for an NFL roster and, all the guys on the game, you're looking at around 28 million, probably closer to 30, honestly. I forgot to, think about practice squad players, the free agents, stuff like that. I want the kids to get paid. I've been a big believer of the NIL. I've always thought that these athletes should get paid because it just makes so much sense. But at the same time, I don't think that they should be getting a ridiculous amount of money from EA Sports for being in the game. It's kind of one of those things. You want the players to get what they deserve, but you also really want the game to come out, and you're really like, what is the perfect amount? I mean, when you sit back and think about it, there's about 105 players on a college football roster. There's 130 teams. I mean, that's just an outrageous. There's a huge number. It's a huge talent pool, right? Those guys wouldn't be making 17,000. There's no way they could get that amount of money. I mean, that'd be paying like 232 million. And when you look at the numbers that Madden made, it was only about 600 million what Madden makes on average, I believe, from the article that I read. So what is the sweet spot? What do these kids deserve? 500 to me, I mean, for being in a video game, I don't think NFL players need 17,000 for being in a video game. I don't get that number either. So what is the sweet spot when there is so many players, so many teams, all that, you're just looking at a huge number. What's the right number for these kids? I would even say 1,000. I mean, you've seen some players come out today and say that they do it for $20, they do it for free, and then there's some guys who want that money, who are like, no, this is my one chance maybe to make a decent amount of money off NIL, because it's there, it doesn't mean that everybody's getting it, you know what I mean? So I just hope it kind of works itself out. It's my favorite video game, so I just want it to happen, but at the same time, I do want these kids to get what they deserve, because that's the whole point of the NIL. That was the whole argument for many years. I mean, that's why the game got shut down, because kids weren't getting paid. So you hope it gets figured out, but I really hope they figure it out soon. I don't want any more hiccups to this whole thing. You know what I mean? And in other news from EA, Josh Allen got the cover of the new Madden. That just happens to drop. That news happens to drop same day. Cool for Josh Allen. Hope the Madden curse doesn't come get him, but you never know, right? Lionel Messi is reportedly going to be joining the MLS. He will be getting some revenue shares from the Apple TV subscription. Looks like they're going to be getting a lot of soccer games and stuff like that. He's also going to be getting a deal with Adidas, a little bit of profit sharing there as well. So big move for him. He's going to help grow the American League as well. So you love to see it for that aspect. Get more business in America is what we need as a country. So I'm all for it. Ex-USFL president Brian Woods is launching a new high school football league next spring, feature about 12 cities. They're hoping to get a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. I don't think that they will. I mean, that would be dumb. Any parent or coach or anyone really looking at that, I don't think it's a good idea for your kid. You don't want to be putting too much wear and tear on them. If I'm a 2-star, a 1-star, a 3-star, that's something I might be interested in. There's a lot of big markets. I know it's like Dallas and Houston and New Orleans, Los Angeles, a lot of those bigger areas. That's where these 12 cities are going to be located at. So if you're a lower rated recruit, that might be your chance to help showcase your talent, get better offers, put your face out there so more people can possibly see you. Don't really know too many details about it. It sounds like it's kind of just getting off the ground a little bit here, but could be a good idea, could be a horrible idea. Who really knows? I don't think it's going to work out in the long run. If you're a 4 or 5-star, why go waste your chance? Yes, they're going to be getting paid. They're going to be making a decent amount. And NIL money, I think, is what it's going to be considered. But I think it's definitely something that the bigger names should stay away from for a couple of years until it kind of sorts itself out, honestly. In other news, Zion has Mariah Mills. I believe she's a porn star. All in a tiff today. She tweeted out something about how she helped him get in shape. She motivated him to get in shape, and then he turns around, taking all these videos of her getting fucked by him, basically, and then says that he basically got some low budget porn star pregnant and wants a DNA test. Just absolutely wild stuff. You hope Zion gets that all figured out. That's an absolute wild way to get blasted on social media. So best of luck to him, I guess. I don't know. It's if you have Twitter, go check it out. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a wild ass tweet. It's probably gonna go down in the Twitter Hall of Fame of tweets, honestly. Speaking of pregnancies and sex, Sweden has declared sex a sport for the first ever sex competition that is set to take place today, June 8th. Gonna be quite a wild scene. They came and decided that it was considered a sport, or I don't really know how that all happened, but the competitors will compete, the competitors will compete in like a 6-hour sex fest that will feature, solo performances, duets, maybe even a little band ensemble or something like that. But there's judges for this, and the public or people watching, or however, I don't know how that all works, but they can also, rank or critique these people. They'll be judged off of these areas: championship seduction, don't really know what that means. I think it's just like, how good are you at seducing someone, basically. A massage of various body parts, rubbing them down, making sure, getting them erogenated, or that's not the right use of that word, but turning them on, getting good massage in there. The prelude, just a little bit of action before. What are you doing to kind of spice things up? What are you doing to get your partner aroused, kind of thing. Oral sex, how good, obviously, can you suck a dick or eat some pussy, basically, is what that's going to be judged off of. You got to get in there, do the dirty work. Everyone loves the dirty work. You just do, right? Penetration, how deep are you getting? How fluid is your motion? How good are your hips? I've always been personally very good with my hips, so it's all about the hips, really, when it comes to sex. Endurance, how long you can last. So basically, that's the crazy part. This is like 6 hours. I don't know how exactly in those 6 hours what you have to do, but how long can you probably have sex for? How long can you not come, pretty much. Appearance, pose, performance, kind of thing. How you look during sex. Is it attractive? Is it ugly? Is it scary? Is it hideous? Is it something beautiful? That kind of thing. Creativity when you're changing positions, if you can pick her up and throw her around, all those kind of things. The amount of orgasms, that for me personally, I'd be out after one. I'd be like, I'm done. I can't. I'm not somebody that just comes a lot, I guess. I just don't. That's just not me. Artistic performance, how beautiful and fluid are the motions? Does it look like, can you not look away, basically, I think is what they're looking for there. Increased blood pressure and heart rate during sex. The most beautiful and difficult poses, and the most artistic communication, basically talking it through. What do you want? What do I want, kind of thing. So absolutely excited for this. I don't know how to watch it or how to tune in, but I might just have to, just to kind of see how this all works out. But it should be absolute scenes, I would think. A new Walgreens in Chicago is now a anti-theft store, the first of its kind. Features only 2 aisles. Everything else needs to be ordered at a virtual kiosk. Kind of their way of trying to crack down on the theft. If you haven't seen, there's a lot of videos that go around of people just stealing stuff, and a lot of people are just like, whatever, take it. No point in trying to stop it from happening. In fact, Lululemon recently fired 2 employees for trying to stop somebody from committing theft, and the reason was, it's clear in the policy that no one is to engage with someone trying to steal something, basically. Doesn't make sense to me, absolute weird, but that's just how it is. But Walgreens, first one to come out with that. Probably a good idea when you think about Walgreens, what they sell, drugs, medicine, stuff like that. So it's probably for the best in that case, but absolute weird world we live in, right? The last bit of news here, a deadly train crash happened in India over the weekend, I believe. Killed over 280 people and injured around 900. Saw the pictures on Twitter. Absolutely devastating look. Thoughts and prayers to them. It's just a sad deal. It's crazy that trains can still crash, no matter the more technology that we continue to get in today's age. Now for this week's top 5. My top 5 this week is weirdest things to give your money to, in my opinion. Starting it off with number 5, prostitutes. I understand those women got to do what they can to make $1. Love it. Go do it, ladies. But as a man, how the hell are you paying for sex? That's got to be the most depressing, demoralizing, saddest thing you could do. Like, you really have to pay for sex? You need it that bad that you have to pay for it. And it's not like you're paying for some porn subscription or paying for somebody's OnlyFans. You're paying somebody to have sex with you because you can't get anyone else to have sex with you. Not your wife, not some random girl you met at a bar, not Lysandra who works in the office with you. You are just that sad and desperate to feel the touch of a woman that you have to pay for it. That's just absolutely weirdest thing I could ever give my money to, right? I just don't get it. Number 4, a homeless person. Now, I understand you're supposed to help the homeless, all that bullshit, but at the same time, in my opinion, if someone is homeless, they have burned every single bridge in their life. Everybody's got friends, everybody's got family, and if you're living on the street, how in the hell do you not have anyone to turn to help you out, to lend a helping hand? It's not that hard to get a job. Everywhere is hiring these days, it seems like. Joe Biden sits here and talks about how he's created the most jobs, but still, homeless population seems to be outrageous. So it's not that hard to get a job. I just don't, if you're homeless, I think you're kind of probably a piece of shit more than likely, but just my opinion. Number 3, a barber. As a man, how can you give your money to a barber? You shouldn't be going to get your hair cut. That's ridiculous. There's only 2 hairstyles for a man. Let it grow or get a shaver and shave it yourself. Never once in my life have I paid for a haircut. Never will. It's the weirdest thing I could ever give my money to. I don't need another man or some woman to cut my hair. I can do it myself. I'm a man. Number 2, someone in your hometown's GoFundMe. You know what I'm talking about. Those people that you see them post a GoFundMe and they're looking for cash for something that you know is absolutely not true, but for some reason you feel the need to give money to it, and you see people that you know giving money to it, and you're like, we just talked, the whole town was talking about them a week ago, how they were basically trying to steal money from somebody, all this jazz. Everyone has those crazy crackheads, that starts a GoFundMe just trying to look for money, basically. So that's just weird to give money to anybody's GoFundMe that you just know is absolutely lying. Some of them, sometimes they're true, but half the time I can just tell they're a farce. Number 1, weirdest thing to give your money to is any political campaign. How in the hell, as a human being, can you sit back and look and be like, I should give money to this campaign? Why? These motherfuckers are supposed to be working for us. They're supposed to be doing, their job is for us as people. Why are we giving them extra money when they're already making a crap ton of money on top of it? Yeah, it's for their campaign. Yeah, bullshit. I don't believe that for a goddamn second. Ain't no way in hell. So how, as someone, can you sit back and be like, it's the weirdest thing. It's absolute loser behavior, absolutely just dumb, ludicrous. If you're doing something like that, this coming up next election for anything, you should probably take a deep look at yourself in the mirror and you wonder why your life is hell, is because you care that much to give money to somebody who isn't even going to do their job. It's basically like giving money to a homeless person. They're just going to use it for drugs or alcohol. But that's my top 5 weirdest things to give your money to. Now for a little National League season outlook here, starting off with the NL East. NL East has seen a lot of postseason success the past few years. The Phillies were in the World Series last year. The Braves won it the year before. Nationals won it 2 years before that. Tons and tons of success as of late. And the Nationals, they're probably the one team I'm already throwing out of the playoff race. Not a lot of depth. They kind of sold pretty much all their big pieces last year. Sitting second worst team in the National League right now, so I don't expect that to change really whatsoever. They just don't really have the talent. They don't have the depth. Their pitching staff, is okay. Their bats are okay. They're already in a hole. I don't really see them coming out of it pretty much. Whereas, a team like the Braves, who are best team in the National League right now, tearing it up. Great record right now. Really good pitching staff. Really good. Their lineup is one of the better in the entire MLB. So I really expect them to be back in the playoffs once again this year. Then you kind of have those 3 teams in the middle. The Marlins right now are actually playing really good baseball. I don't know how deep they'll go, but they do. They have the potential to have a lot of young stars, especially on that team. The Mets, however, tons and tons and tons of talent, kind of sitting right in the middle at the 3 seat in third place right now for the division. On the outside looking in terms of the wild card, but they're very underachieving this year for as much talent as they have on their pitching staff, as many good batters that they have as well. They should be doing a lot better, but they're really not. I don't know if they'll turn it around. It's just kind of been, the Mets have always been one of those teams that continues to get all this talent and can never do anything with it. I really don't see that changing this year. The team that's the most interesting by far, though, is the Phillies, sitting in the 4th place right now. Like I said, last year they were in the World Series. Bryce Harper missed the first month of the season with injury. He's been back. Since he's been back, he's kind of gotten them around or above or close to that 500 mark. They've been under it for most of the season. They've gone through a lot of stretches where they win games and lose games. A lot of that being when they're on the road, they're absolutely horrible. 13-22 compared to 16-10 at home as of today. They could make a run, but they need to figure that out sooner rather than later. Playing on the road is a big part of baseball. You play 82 games on the road or 81 games on the road. They gotta tune it up. They gotta play better. I do think that they could, make a push, make a run here at some point. They just kind of got to get things figured out. But I really, in terms of that division, the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Braves are the only teams I'm really looking at making a push for the playoffs. I think the Mets will continue to fall off here and there, just be a 500 team most of the season. The NL Central, headlined by the Brewers and Pirates right now, they're leading the way. The Reds, Cubs, and Cardinals all sitting under 500. The Cardinals actually have the worst record in the National League right now. They're kind of seeing those effects of Yadier Molina being gone now. really affecting them this year. The Reds, however, they're sitting in the third place right now. I don't expect much from them. I think they could stick around that 500 mark all year. Not a great pitching staff, not a great lineup either. Still a young team trying to figure their place out. The Cubs and Cardinals, though, talking about the Cardinals, they do have tons and tons of talent still, as well as the Cubs. Both those teams are sitting 4-5 respectively in the division. They need to figure it out. I really am having this weird feeling that they more than likely won't. The Brewers are kind of running away with this division right now. I'm really leaning on them. I really like Christian Yelich. I've liked him for so long. One of my favorite players in the league. So I'm really hoping the Brewers hold on and continue their success in this division. I'd be very surprised if they lost it, though. Pirates are kind of fun, a lot of veteran guys. Andrew McCutchen's back there. Carlos Santana, he's older guy, been around for a while. They're playing decent baseball. Only 3 games above 500 right now, sitting in the third wild card spot, I believe, though. So they have the potential to continue this throughout the season. I really don't think that they will, though. I think this is pretty much the Brewers division. I think the Brewers will run away with it. Then last division here, NL West. Absolutely the toughest and most loaded division in the National League from top to bottom. Even the Rockies have a ton of talent. I think you can kind of throw them out, though. I don't really think that they'll make a run. I think the 4 other teams are really good. Diamondbacks sitting in first place right now, second best record in the National League. Pitching staff's good. Bats are, no big star power, but they've been doing very well throughout the season. Like I said, they're still in first place. Right behind them is the Dodgers. Dodgers are locked to make the playoffs. There's too much talent. If they miss the playoffs, there's something really crazy has to be going on. The Giants, I do think the Giants have the talent, but I'm not too keen on them making the playoffs this year. The team I get mostly excited about when I talk about the National League is the Padres. I absolutely love the Padres. Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Xander Bogaerts, just talent. They are below 500 right now, but I do think that they'll get things changed and make the playoffs. I just think they're too good not to. Sometimes you go through these slumps as a hitter. They didn't have Tatis there for a while, but I think ultimately things are going to get figured out, and the Padres are going to be moving in the right direction and make the playoffs. I could see the Diamondbacks, Dodgers, and the Padres all making the playoffs from this division this year. Now for another little top 5, just same as last week. Top 5 teams in the NL that I would put a future on. Number 1, Braves, sitting at plus 500. Like I said, too much talent for them not to have a great year. At plus 500, put $100 down, you win 500. Not a bad deal. Dodgers are right there behind them, same thing. Plus 500, $100, win 500. Both those teams, I think they're sitting 1 and 2 in future odds respectively. Mostly because they're playing great baseball and because they do have the talent. They've done it recently in the past couple of years, so no surprise there. My third is the Padres. Like I was saying, I love the Padres. I think that they're going to figure it out here shortly. They're sitting at plus 2,200. $100 wins you $220. That's a great bargain deal. I've been thinking about putting that one down myself just because that's how much I believe in the Padres. Fourth, Brewers plus 2,700. $100 wins you $2,700. I always mess those numbers up. I've struggled with them ever since I was a child, but I really like them. Like I said, I would love Christian Yelich. I could see the Brewers making a big run here, but kind of a long stretch, but that's definitely one to pay attention to. And by far my favorite, at plus 12,000, the Miami Marlins. You put $100 down, you win 12 grand. Part of me is like looking at this Marlins team and how young they are and the talent that they have as possibly being just like the Marlins teams that won the World Series back in 97 and 2003. Tons of young talent. I mean, you go back and you look at those rosters and where those guys all went in their careers, absolutely astronomical. The amount of talent that they had on their teams, what they were able to accomplish after they all left the Marlins. Getting a weird vibe that this could happen with this Marlins team this year. So I honestly might have to put a future down on the Miami Marlins to win the World Series. Long stretch, I know, but I might have to. Just have to. And now to close out the show here, a little College World Series previews or predictions / picks. Starting off with the Wake Forest Super Regional, Wake Forest, Alabama. I predicted that one correctly. I still do see Wake Forest advancing on to Omaha. Stanford and Texas predicted that one as well. I did pick Texas before, but I'm sticking with Texas. I was going to say Stanford just because I know, their depth and their talent, and they were there last year, but I really do like this Texas team. So I'm going to keep Texas. LSU, Kentucky. LSU played amazing this weekend. Kentucky struggled a little bit here and there, so I'm still rocking with LSU to advance on to Omaha. Tennessee, Southern Miss. I still really like Southern Miss. I mean, your coach is retiring. What better chance than try to get your team to Omaha? I think they're going to do it. Florida, South Carolina, got that one correct as well. I still do think Florida advances on. Virginia and Duke, I'm going with Virginia in this one. I think that they're just a lot better than Duke. They played this a couple times this year. Virginia won, so I'm rocking Virginia. Oregon, Oral Roberts. I like Oral Roberts, 4-seed underdog here, so they're going to advance on. TCU and Indiana State, going with Indiana State still to advance on. I'd love to see an Oral Roberts, Indiana State first round matchup. That would be absolute dreams, but we'll have to see what happens this weekend. Hopefully you take that advice, you gamble your money correctly. Hopefully you use those features. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. But no matter what, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And please share with your friends and family. I appreciate any love you send my way. But for now, your boy Titties is out.